am in my 5th term, so starting my 10th session next February. I live in Lakeville and have represented that area. Lived in there for about 20 years, and now after redistricting, I'm proud to also represent southern and western Lakeville, but also Credit River, Elko, New Market Township, and Eureka Township. So the last 2 years have been a kind of a transition in terms of my policy work and working with smaller cities, a couple townships that I hadn't had to focus on some of those policy issues before. So it's been really fun, enlightening, a little bit more challenging, but it keeps it exciting and fresh.
I hate to get controversial on you in the second question of the interview, but is it Lakeville North Panthers or Lakeville South Cougars?
Well, my kids go to Lakeville North. I live about a mile north of Lakeville North. And so I'm kind of at the northern end of my district, but most of my district is Lakeville South, and 2 kiddies, 1 city.
There you go. That's perfect, actually. And I was looking at some of your background. I'd characterize your life as a success story to this point. Born in Columbia, adopted by an American family, and here you are as an elected official. And according to the Legislative Reference Library, you and Senator Eric Lucero are the first 2 Latino Republicans to serve in the legislature. How did we get to this point, or how did you get to this point?
Yeah, I think we're the first 2 Latino in the Republican caucus.
Republican caucus, excuse me, yes.
Yeah, it's a neat honor. I was very fortunate to be adopted when I was age 5 from Columbia. A lot of civil unrest in Columbia and civil war, and it's been going on. Did get the chance to go back in 2019, right before COVID, bring my family and stuff, and for myself to just explore the country a little bit. But it certainly has influenced my public policy work and why I chose to serve, because I recognize, America is the land of opportunity, democracy, and I think everybody should participate in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be elected, but just involved in your community. And for me, being involved in business in my community opened the door to people that asked me to run for public office. And so I'm pretty honored to be able to do that and serve the people in my district. And I take that, I don't take it for granted, because I know that there's other forms of government, even though Columbia is a democracy, doesn't always function as strongly, despite the challenges we have in our country and our state. It's still one of the strongest democracies in the world, and it's something that we need to cherish and be a part of.
And your first session was in 2015, right? So almost nearly a decade here. Did you think you'd be in public office for that long? And what keeps you coming back, I guess?
Yeah, I'd always thought about being engaged and maybe running for office, in my mid-60s or 70s after I retire from, a professional career. It just so happened that an opportunity opened up, and people had faith in me and encouraged me to run, and have continued to support me. Now that I'm here, while I do believe in term limits, I also recognize that it takes 5 to 6, 7, 8 years just to understand the process and be effective at it, and build the relationships and understand the policy. And so I'm just getting my feet underneath me, and I'm excited to continue the work for as long as the people of the district continue to support me, and that my family also encourages me.
So let's talk a little bit about some current issues. In a recent legislative update, you weighed in on the most recent budget forecast, where Minnesota Management and Budget projected a $2.4 billion surplus for the current biennium, but a structural imbalance of about $2.3 billion in the 26-27 biennium. What do you make of those numbers?
Well, I think it's very concerning as policymakers and people that set the state budget. We don't look just 6 months and 9 months down the road like you would your family budget or your business budget. The spending that we have done as a legislature with the Democrat majority is unsustainable, and we tried to tell them that last session. And so it's extremely concerning that in 2 years down the road, we will have a budget is already projected, a budget deficit is projected, and we need to rein in government, rein in spending. A 40% growth in government last session has created this forecasted deficit in 26, and it's unsustainable, and it's actually unjust and not respectful to the taxpayers, the hardworking Minnesotans. We can't continue to grow government at an amazing 40%. And in addition, we wasted the surplus and raised taxes by $10 billion. and we're still going to have a deficit. We cannot continue to spend this way. Republicans, myself, will continue to work hard to rein in the spending and hope for an opportunity to correct the course of the state so that we can all have a brighter future and opportunities.
And speaking of that, yeah, you actually, I believe, called the last session, 2023, a missed opportunity. So kind of what you're saying is, can you talk, you just talked about it a little bit, but when the 24th session comes around, is there anything that can be done in your eyes to correct some of those things?
Continue to hold the majority fiscally responsible and rein in the spending. I think they even know it with this forecast of a future deficit, that the spending, they've spent all the money. There is no more money to spend, really. A small amount, and if they continue to spend more, we're going to increase the deficit. They've already increased taxes, and so they'd have to either increase more taxes, which of course we will oppose, but also spending needs to be reined in. And there was a lot of one-time spending, but also new programs were created where the spending kicks in down the road after the election, but we need to rein that in and right-size government.
And you're the Republican lead for the House Economic Development, Finance, and Policy Committee. Are there any issues or policies you'll push for here in 2024?
Well, one of the things that we did do that I think was in the right direction is to invest in grants with federal matching dollars for our semiconductors and micro biologics, and to try to draw that into the state. We're a natural fit for that, and so we need to continue to expand some of that. But there was a lot of other spending that is probably less productive. But we certainly recognize, and I'm excited to be on that committee, and part of those discussions is that we recognize the state's ability to pay for the services and programs that we have is dependent on a strong, vibrant economy. And so when we work on that committee, making sure that we support communities across the state and have a good, robust environment to create jobs and grow jobs, and companies to flourish here. And unfortunately, we're moving backwards on that, but hopefully that's one bright spot that we can continue to expand and hopefully strengthen the economy in that way.
Mm-hmm. And when the final gavel falls in May of 2024, what needs to happen this session for you to call it a success?
Well, unfortunately, there isn't going to be too much we have one-party control right now. I guess I would say the process has been broken and abused with one-party control, and it may happen whether it's all Republicans or all Democrats. But the voice of Minnesotans needs to be heard, and the reason we have out-of-balance spending, out-of-balance, some of the most extreme partisan bills were passed last session is because the process to include all Minnesota's voices was not heard, and you get maybe faster policy, but policy that doesn't reflect all of Minnesotans. And so I'm hopeful that maybe Democrats have learned the lesson from last year and will be more collaborative as we try to fix some of the bad policy that they passed. The recreational marijuana has significant implications and unanswered questions in terms of regulation, in terms of how cities and counties and towns manage it and regulate it. And very sloppy work was done. And so we will try to be partners in making sure that we can now be heard and have some of those voices that we're missing and those ideas that were not listened to or overheard, have them be part of the process. And if we're going to do that, make it a better regulations and laws that are actually enforceable.
All right, Representative Koznick, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.